All right, welcome in everybody out there. Thanks a lot for tuning in tonight. Hope everybody had a really happy Thanksgiving. We got a fun show lined up for you tonight. Going to be a lot of fun, talking about a lot of crazy topics and cool stuff. So we do thank everybody for being here. As usual, we do have our philanthropist, our rich lady, the one who flies all over the world in her multiple jets. How you doing tonight there, Gutters Pub?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Mr. Fools?
Doing good. Just stuffed up on turkey and, that kind of stuffing and things like that. So, doing grand. Awesome. Once again, with us, we have the mouth of Houston, LW. How you doing tonight there, LW?
Hey, everybody. Good to be back. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I just got back from my Thanksgiving dinner, so I'll be nice, fat, and happy for the show.
Yeah, you probably fall asleep about halfway. I'm going to blame it on the turkey, not us.
There you go.
And our token mad scientist up here with us. How you doing tonight there, Old Man Builds?
Doing great, man. Looking forward to all the callers that call in tonight.
Well, as always, we're good to have you here. Joining us again this week, we've got the Doug with the Window Bros in here. How you doing tonight, Doug?
Doing great and excited to be on the show. And to echo Old Man's, excited to hear any kind of call-ins. I think it's going to be interesting and a lot of fun.
All right, that's what we're here for. Always hoping for a good time. And, if you're looking for a good time, you probably found it here. Otherwise, go check out the bathroom stalls at your local truck stop. So we'll get started here in just a moment. Everybody, hold tight. We'd like to say thanks for some people coming in here already. Who we got in here? We've got Karen from HR checking in with us. We've got Matt Dummett. Good to see you, Matt Dummett. We've got Guaco Loco in here. Good to see you, Guaco. Over underrated. Good to see you. Crypto Alchemist. What is going on, brother? Big Barney Ross. What's up? Big Barney Ross. Good to see you. Dispatch Center in here. Good to see you, Dispatch, as always. We got Crafting and Conjuring. How you doing tonight, Gypsy? Still waiting on my sandwich, lady. But good to see you. We got Steve Harloha in here. Good to see you, Steve. Dozer, what's up, Dozer? Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, buddy. Let's see who else we got in here. We got PJ. What is up, PJ? How you doing tonight? Stephen Henry, Stephen, and how are you going to do this one? Stephen Drysdale. Boy, you really have to sound these things out. I love these new ads that they're giving us. Really makes it live. We've got Johnny K in here. What's up, Johnny K? Burning. What is up, Burn Eye? I like that. Let's see who else we got in here. Kilburn, what is up? Kilburn, Gutters Pub, Indie Chat. I don't know what you're doing in there, hanging out. Gory Tiger, what is up, Gory? And we'll be saying hey to some people all night long. If I missed your name, I did not do it on purpose. So we do thank you, everybody, for being here. Please make sure you have hit those thumbs up. It does help the stream get out there to other wonderful people.
You're listening to the ASN Podcast Network.
All right, what is going on, everybody out there? Thanks for being here Friday night. We love doing this on Friday night, hanging out with all you wonderful people. So let's not beat around the bush. I'm dying to know, Doug. So you went on a, what would you call it? A
paranormal so we actually went on a paranormal investigation, and we actually have a name for the building now. So it was actually a very private affair. They informed us to meet us in a grocery store parking lot, and they couldn't give us the address. So they're afraid of kids and outside folks finding out about it and going into there. So this is an old abandoned house that the paranormal research team named Chasing Ravens. Great guys, but it was one of those situations where I had to send my address to loved ones where I was going. to say, hey, if I ended up murdered somewhere, at least you know where to find my body. So it was interesting to say the least. But yeah, so the place is called the River House, and it's actually located out in northeast Tennessee, which is kind of our stomping grounds, a little bit out of the way, but right in the heart of Appalachia. There was literally nothing in there except for a large Victorian style abandoned house that we went to. So it was exciting to say the least.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do it. I want to go check out some
Yeah.
haunted places. And
Yeah, it's funny because we actually met them at the Saucers Over Appalachia Festival, and and the name of the lead investigator for Chasing Ravens, his name is Dr. Charles. He has a doctorate in parapsychology. And for those listening, parapsychology is essentially psychology, but within the realm of paranormal. So it could be anything from, and a lot of folks have that confused when they think of parapsychology. They think that it involves just strictly discovering ghosts, when in reality it's studying dreams and why you're having the certain dreams that you have. It's studying a lot of kinetic energy, or if anybody has psychokinesis, those are all in the realms of parapsychology. So Dr. Charles met us at the Saucers Over Appalachia Festival, liked our stuff, and he said, I really like you guys because I want you guys to kind of debunk this location that we do our research at. And this was the River House, and it was an old Mel Gibson movie, I think, that was filmed back in 1984. And I'm trying to think, and I think it had Sissy Spacek in it too. So apparently it was one of the locations that they used to film out there. We did a lot of digging, a lot of research. We could not find out what exactly happened there to make this location haunted. But I can tell you confidently that we had folks that 4 out of 5 of us all had a paranormal encounter that night, and we felt pretty I don't know if defeated was the right word, but we said, okay, I think there's something strange going on there for sure.
Oh, so
that's
what
impressive
did you
that
get?
everybody had.
Yeah, so Greg is probably one of our biggest skeptics, and so the way that we conducted the investigation, and those guys, and I said, "Are you guys going to be in it?" And they said, "No, we've been here so many times. You guys go in and experience it. We're just going to hang back and laugh." And
Yeah, they're like, hell no, you go ahead. We're just going to sit back here. Was that movie The River?
Yeah, The River. That's exactly
okay,
it.
cool.
Yep. So it kind of gives you an idea where we were at. So The River was filmed in Churchill, Tennessee. But so whenever I went in there, so the way we did this is that we split up in groups of 2. So 4 out of 5 of us went there that night. The other one had to work in the evening. So we conducted a group investigation, and then whenever we split up into 2, so the way we did is we took believer and skeptic and paired them together. And so that way, if a believer was saying, okay, this is definitely it, the skeptic could be here saying, okay, hold on, let's ground this real quick and figure out exactly what's going on. So Greg and I, who is a very huge skeptic, doesn't really believe in anything, we went in there on the first groups. And one of the things that we did, and we did the Estes method, we had a lot of intelligent responses. So it was kind of elaborate this time because we had, it's like the red goggles that constantly flash lights in your eyes, puts you in a trance-like state. So Greg had those on. I have terrible vertigo, so I would probably fall over if I actually wore those things. So didn't wear them. And so we were in there. And so the team's outside along with Chasing Ravens. They're screaming through the window, and I can hear them. And I'm trying to record, and I'm saying, "Hey, you guys need to keep it down." And at that point, my spirit box picks up, "Be quiet." And then Greg, who's in the other room doing the Estes method, says, "Silent," and screams that out loud. And so I walk in there and said, "What the hell did you just say?" And he said, I said, "Silent." And I said, "Man, so it happened simultaneously." And we actually linked it in the chat tonight, but we also, we're still going through all the footage and all the EVPs and trying to break that all down. John said for the first time he actually felt a touch in there, and felt it, go up his leg and into his left arm. And he said, I feel really weird right now. And at that moment, Chasing Raven Spirit Box says, I enjoyed that. And it was way too coincidental. So the
Don't
thing
they have
that
a word for that?
yeah, they do. And so we call that non-consent.
Consensual.
Yeah, it comes with a few years in prison.
Yeah. So,
I know, but in the paranormal world, I think there is like there's a word for it. Like, and I don't know. Like,
I'm not sure. Uncomfortable was the word John used. And he said that's the first time anything like that happened to me. But yeah, it was very very interesting. And what we found was that the house was sitting on essentially a bog. So as you walked through the yard, you were constantly sinking in the mud. You were constantly sinking in the water, and there was there was nothing electrical in the house at all. So we went in there. We checked every plug-in. We checked every form of electricity. We were getting nothing on EMF. We were getting no electromagnetic frequencies, no radio frequencies. We put everything in airplane mode. But what we found was that we found a water line that was actually conducting energy outside. And it was one of those strange things where we all sat there, about 3 a.m. and we said, well, what are we looking at here? And what are we thinking? And we're all thinking, 4 of us all had an experience, and, you take the Euroshrine where we deem that not haunted by our definition. And so now we're in the location where we say, okay, this very rarely happens. And that's the things that we look for when things actually do happen. How do you conclude that? And what we felt like was that there was nothing malicious in there. There was nothing in there that was, scaring us. None of us felt uneasy at any time. If anything, it felt like the house was playing with us. And the one thing that we kind of honed in on was all the moisture in the house and sitting on that bog. And the house almost seemed to remember a lot of things and respond to it. We unfortunately we did not get it on camera, but we had Christy and John freaking out because I said a ball just rolled out of the room. For me, it was, and again, I didn't see it. I demanded that thing happens, but we even had the spirit box actually say Greg, while Greg was in the Estes method, on my spirit box, not on his. So I actually heard that audible, got that on camera as soon as I opened the door that the spirit box told me not to open. So it was very interesting. The way we felt about it, though, it's almost like if you plant a seed in water, and it's a very interesting experiment. So if you have just a sunflower seed, you put it in a bowl of water, put it in your freezer, you're going to come back with a sunflower, ice in the shape of a sunflower the next morning. It's a really remarkable thing that water retains memory, and that's. I would encourage anybody to try that theory out. But the way we thought about it is almost if you take the seed of energy, which is the house, and you plant it in this bog, that was the only thing that we can kind of conclude is that the water line outside, which was the only conductor of electricity and any kind of current, seemed to remember. So we almost felt like the house itself, not that spirits were there, the house itself was the anomaly. That's what we kind of concluded on that.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Structured water, memory, absolutely.
Yeah. And for anybody listening, I would strongly encourage anybody to experiment with that. And water 100% has memory. So,
I'm definitely putting a seed in.
Yeah.
So do I put water in with the seed?
Yeah. So what you'll do, take you like a little Tupperware or a bowl of water and put the seed at the bottom, fill it up with water. You don't need a lot. Put it in the freezer. And so the next day, and whenever I heard about this, I said, well, bullshit, I don't believe that. And so I did it. And sure enough, sunflower, it actually came out in the shape of a sunflower. It's remarkable stuff. Talking to Chasing Ravens, it was one of those situations that we had like at the shops in 1910 where, they were laughing at us the entire time because they were like, we told you guys this was, something was going on here. We were even like, looking for hidden cameras. And I even told him that whenever he got there. So I'm gonna look for hidden cameras. I'm gonna look for stuff that you guys have put here. Now the strange thing is that we found that the more electrical devices that we had in there at any given time, the more activity that we got. And so towards the end of the night, I was the only one to go in and do a solo investigation. So whenever I did the solo investigation, I yielded nothing. There was absolutely nothing. So it was just a really strange turn of events. I don't know if I want to call it haunted, but I don't. The house is an anomaly. That's what we're just going to kind of go with. Again, we're still in the very raw phases of that footage. I think I've only color graded maybe 20 minutes of it, and we probably have about 3 hours worth of footage that I'll have to cut through,
Wow.
especially for dead air. But it was very interesting. We were really pleased with the results. I think we all just felt very giddy, and it was just a very fun environment. And again, that was the way the house felt mischievous. It didn't feel like it was scary or anything. And I guess if you were to see it on the side of the road, you'd say, "There's no way I'm going in that place." For us, it was just a really fun, mischievous night. But yeah, other than the non-consensual ghost touch that John felt. So,
Well, at least it was John and not you, right?
yeah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. But it was funny because I said, "Hey, that's exactly what I felt at Shops in 1910, I bet." And he goes, "Yeah, well, I didn't like that, and I didn't like it either whenever that happened."
So circling back to the water holding memory thing. So now I'm kind of new on that one. Is there science behind this in any way? Nathan,
yeah.
maybe you. So what's the science behind it?
So basically, anytime that you put voltage in water, okay, it'll structure the water, but it structures it in the pathways of like veins. And in that, it retains its memory of exactly where it is. So anytime that the voltage gets put in again, it'll make the exact same structure. So it'll build it out over time if you continue to do it. And it's almost like synapses in the brain. It'll continue to build all new neural pathways between each one of them, and each one of them will contain memory.
Gotcha. That's interesting there. That's kind of fascinating in a real way.
It is, yeah. It's an incredible little thing to do. I think my wife and I, whenever we found that about, we were trying to put everything in there to see if we could get a shape out of it for the water. It's the reason they call it the shape of water.
I think
I guess
everybody
so.
in the chat's going to be up to that.
So
yeah.
I
both
know.
have memory, the seed plus the water, correct?
I think the way that I've always heard it theorized is that if you were to take something, so water, for as long as as long as the earth is old, water has been around. So water has essentially experienced everything. So if you were to put, say, that sunflower seed, for example, into that water, well, the water has known that seed. It knows exactly what it's going to be. I can't. I'm not a scientist. I'm not that at all. But it's water's been around for long as anything. Water is life.
So it's the water then, not the seed. The water has the memory.
I believe it's the
basically.
water. Yeah. And I think Old Man Builds gave a really good a really good theory on that, and really good information on that. Is that water is a conductor, and it's not unlike your brain in a way. We're how much water as humans? I believe it's 90% water as humans. So, and again, we're nothing but essentially bioorganic machines with a lot of electrical synapses going through us at any given time.
Almost like we're robots. Have you ever used, Doug, have you ever used Ouija boards on any of your investigations?
No, so it's interesting. We have not personally used Ouija boards. And again, I think it's all about intent. And I'm not saying that Ouija boards don't work, but I think that it's all about the intention. For us personally, I don't think that it would do much good for us to use a Ouija board. We sell our own spirit dice to people, and it's basically just the Ouija board in your pocket. You just throw it and it gives words. We don't really use a lot of that stuff, but I do think that Ouija boards can almost give a false pretense. So if you're going into something and you already have a lot of anxiety and you're already kind of, expecting to be haunted, expecting to open up a gateway, well, obviously Ouija boards are going to add to that anxiety. We had a case out in Fort Payne, Alabama, and this was a young lady, and she was an atheist. and didn't believe in anything, but her mother passed away. And so with that, she went out and because she missed her mother, she went out, she bought a Ouija board, and so she was using this to reach out to her deceased mother. And suddenly she claimed that she was having poltergeist activity, and so she came up to me and she said, hey, I don't believe in this stuff. I don't really know who to go to. I don't want to be laughed at. um, can you look into this? But I use the Ouija board, and now I have poltergeist activity, and my daughter and I are constant balls of anxiety and panic. And so with the Ouija board, personally, we never witnessed any kind of poltergeist activity. We never, from the videos that we skimmed through and anything, it wouldn't be what we deemed it to be. I think it was a lot of just the house shifting, shaking, a lot of stomping. Obviously, if you're running scared, you're probably going to shake a lot of stuff. And for her daughter, who she said was never scared, I said, well, did you tell her about this? Did you tell her about it? Did you run around scared? Did you perpetuate that anxiety? And the answer was yes, And I said, okay, so if I'm a 4-year-old or 3-year-old and I see my mother running around screaming, there's ghosts in the house, I'm probably going to get a lot of anxiety and run around screaming that there's ghosts in the house too. So we said, you're going to have to remain calm. You're going to have to stop that. The other thing too, and we never ever said that we didn't believe her. We never ever said that, there's nothing here. What we said was, one, don't give it any energy. And that goes true for anything with your mental health. And obviously mental health is a big thing these days. With that though, you take the grief of losing your mother, and then you take the anxiety of thinking that you're haunted or that you're haunted by a poltergeist. It's kind of a catalyst for a lot of chaos. And then, you add in the additional anxiety of the child who is feeding off her mother, who in turn is feeding off the child on that too. I said, well, did the Ouija board ever work? Well, no, it never worked. I never got contact, but I also never closed the door. I never, I never shut it down. I just threw the Ouija board in the closet. And so, from that, I said, well, first of all, I want you to do is stop freaking out about the Ouija board. Stop giving this thing energy. Don't even think about it. Wake up, go about your day. And with that, I said, what I want you also to do is to sleep. I want you to eat right. And, I was giving her a whole diet of things. I said, eat this, don't eat that. Stay away from overly processed foods, because I was thinking of things like blood pressure, like don't let your blood pressure rise unnecessarily. Don't get it to a dangerous level. Don't have a panic attack, sleep. And then when it came to the Ouija board, I said, I want you to close the session. So I said, once you close the session, just say goodbye, just close it. And I want you to cut it up, burn it, discard it, just whatever you got to do. Get rid of it after that. And I promise you this stuff won't happen anymore, but just don't even think about it whenever you do it. About 2 weeks pass, and she goes, you guys are miracle workers. I don't know how you all got rid of the ghost. And it was one of those situations where we said there was never really a ghost there. Like, and the way I usually find out is I think that people haunt themselves more than people are actually haunted. And it's not to say that spirits aren't real, but it's just one of those situations where if you think about something too much, or if we sit there, and we all do it, we fester all day about things that we could have done throughout the day. We think about that stuff, and then we start kind of kicking ourselves and tearing ourselves apart over things that sometimes are out, or most of the time are out of our control. And it's better just to kind of move past that, take a deep breath. And I'm preaching about it whenever I should be practicing sometimes too. But that right there, Ouija boards for us, we're skeptical about it. Two, I think that it not unlike other cases that we've done. You get what you give, and that's a lot of what we deal with too. At the end of the day, Ouija boards were created by a toy company, Hasbro. I think that if you were to use a Spirit Talker app, I think that if you were to grab something that you consider a lucky item, because we all probably have lucky items, and you think, okay, I can't go a day without my lucky item, you're giving that the same energy as you would a Ouija board. I've never seen a Ouija board work without somebody inadvertently manipulating it. And a lot of it too is just whenever you have multiple people on there and you're all pressing down on it, you're going to shift that thing around. So I think that subconsciously, and again, there's people out there that fake it, but also subconsciously, whenever you're not faking it, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to find a demon or a bad entity tonight. Subconsciously, you're going to move to that yes. And I think a lot of that is just very subconscious.
Seems like a lot of bad juju come in there with those too. Like if you do believe in it, you don't know what you're inviting in.
Exactly.
If you don't believe in it, then you're probably manipulating
it. Essentially, it's so funny, not funny and not funny, but I think like the biggest thing that we have to deal with are and again, I think you guys experienced this on your past few episodes, are people that believe too much rather than taking a breath and standing back and actually looking at, what's in front of you. I think most of our social media, we're constantly dealing with people that say, why did you post this? I can't look it in the eyes and I have to apologize to the screen that I'm looking at. We recorded it. I'm putting it up there. It's the whole Robert the Doll thing where you have to say sorry for looking at you, Robert.
Robert always comes up, doesn't he? Robert always has to come up.
Comes up. But it's but that right there all started with essentially Robert the Doll, and about apologizing to videos that you see or pictures that we've seen. We did a live stream the other night, and we had our crowd, panicking that we should have warned people before we put, Sally the Doll up there. It was, I said, I recorded it, I'm telling you, it's okay. I asked Sally for permission for you, it's,
oh man, I gotta give me one of them then. Like, give me the doll guy and the Ouija board. Yeah. And then have my Tesla coils go off. I gotta have it, man.
Yeah.
I put it in the background in its own little recording area. Mm-hmm. And see if it ever looks at me and says, "What's up, Nathan?" That'd be cool.
We did a show about the dolls before, and after Robert was on there, after the show was over, I felt like I needed to apologize to Robert.
Yeah. That's the whole thing, I'm sorry, Robert. Every time I say Robert, I'm sorry, Robert.
Big shout out to Robert. Big shout out to Robert. He's a friend of the show.
Yeah. Yes. Robert,
they said all that crazy stuff about you, not me.
I blame it on LW. I was getting he was putting stuff in the private chat, and I was just repeating what LW was saying. So, so this new location that you went to, I mean, what was like the overall feeling of the location? Like, was there a difference between like from when you arrived as to when you left? Like, how'd you feel upon it walking up to it, as opposed to walking away from it?
That's actually a really good question. There was, I guess, a sense of heightened anxiety that whenever we were going into it, because we've met these guys twice in what you could call passing. We talked for about 2 hours at a festival, and then we went months without ever discussing again. And then, to say, hey, we can't give you the address, hey, meet us at this grocery store, and then you guys will follow us out to the middle of nowhere. There's a heightened anxiety that comes with that, because you never know, especially in today's world, you never know who you're going to run into. And so going out there, it was probably about 9 o'clock at night. It was already extremely dark. There's no street lights out there, no electricity. You're going to an old Victorian style abandoned home. It was probably a sense of giddiness, I would say. None of us are really what I would consider to be, chicken or scared. It's we're Southern guys, and so we're not a lot really gets underneath our skin. But whenever we got there, and again, it's one of those instances, and I always feel like a jackass whenever I go out there and I say, oh, well, this happened, but I didn't record it, because then I feel like I'm one of those sensationalists that are like saying, oh yeah, it totally happened. But it was, I went back to the backyard because, the Chasing Ravens crew said nothing ever happens outside. It's always inside. And so while I'm outside just looking around and everybody's inside, I see, what I perceive to be shadows running through the woods out there, and it looked very human. And so, scared me. Not even gonna lie. So I came in there. I said, "Hey," I said, "there's some shadows running around out there," and so they said, "Oh yeah, that's the horses." And so we all go out there. We go and look through the woods and look for the barns and stuff. But where I saw them, there were no horses, and there were no horse barns. They were all directly on the other side of it. So that kind of set the tone for me, and I remember walking up to the rest of the team, and I said, "Guys, I got a weird feeling we're going to find stuff tonight," and so we all kind of laughed it off, but sure enough, it was, and we went with quite a bit of equipment that night too, and so, but the biggest thing for us was just the back and forth Q&A, and really getting fairly intelligent responses. We heard a lot of knocking, and so there was one instance where John and Christy were in the living quarters, and we heard 3 knocks, which again, if you look at it that way in the spiritual realm, it could be a mocking of the Trinity. It could be an invitation to a portal, or it could just be a welcome here kind of thing. And so we actually experienced 3 knocks at the Ura Shrine too, which the Ura Shrine, I would say, other than Sally the Doll, was about the only thing that we can consider paranormal there. I think the episode is going to be very interesting by the time we get done with it.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
We're excited to go back. I will say that, and that's one that in the Ura Shrine, I was essentially done at the end. This time, I was like, they were having to drag me out because I was saying, hold on, like I got another test I want to run, and it was exciting. So I'm not going to go ahead and say it's haunted, but I am going to say it's incredibly interesting, and I would dare say that the house itself is the anomaly. I don't think that it's haunted by spirits. I don't think it's anything like that. It was just a lot of coincidences that night, and it could have been just that. I don't know.
So is it fair to say that it lived up to the stories or claims that you'd heard about? Did it live up to what you expected?
Yeah, absolutely. And for these guys chasing ravens, they're adamant believers. And right now we're actually looking at trying to get a MUFON chapter out here because we have a lot of UFO encounters and alien encounters and people coming forward about that. With him, I would say that they are more adamant believers, but they do believe in the science behind it too. And if they can prove it wrong, they will. That was the thing that we were worried about going there, is that we were going to be dealing with guys that didn't want to hear anything we had to say. And it was actually quite the contrary. And so we we never went to it, saying, "Oh, these guys are full of it," or "nothing's going to happen." It was, let's see what happens, is what it ended up being. And we were fairly surprised.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get up with you sometime and go on one of these with you when you allow me to one day. Nothing too demonistic or anything, but I wouldn't mind going to, one of these ones that, interesting to look at. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting about the idea of demons and how we perceive them. And I remember speaking with a priest about this, and it was one of the smartest things that I ever heard. And they mentioned not everything's a demon. In fact, most things aren't demonic that you're dealing with. And that what you have to think about, demons in the biblical sense, or demons within a Buddhist sense. These are, if you're to believe them, all powerful beings. In the Christian sense, you're looking at them as, fallen angels. Something that powerful is probably not going to come out on a random Friday night and probably mess with you. They probably got way more important things to do. And typically whenever we hear something, come through our spirit boxes or anything like that says, "I'm the devil," we're like, okay, hold up. Why would you be here? That's kind of the way we lean into it. And that was one of the smartest things I think I'd ever heard, is that demons as a whole, especially the more powerful ones, they're probably not going to make time for you unless you're somebody pretty important and you're about to destroy the world.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's Friday night, and Texas is upsetting Texas A&M right now. So I could imagine them being being busy at times.
You might be there at the game. I don't know.
Right, exactly. They're hanging out over there in Texas. Speaking of Texas A&M, big shout out there to my bubs, Mr. Duggar Fishing, coming in there, $5 super chat saying, cold beer for my bubs. Thank you, Mr. Duggar. Really do appreciate that from you. I can't wait to hear about this new upgraded computer system that you got. I think that'll be cool. You better get rooting to those Aggies, man. Better make a phone call to your buddy Zach. They need some Zach right about now to pull this off. Also, $5 coming in there. Steve Harloha, thank you very much, my friend. He says, I love listening to your channel, and I really appreciate your support for my channel. Much aloha, brother. Hey, thank you very much, brother. Right back at you. Harloha's got a really great channel over there as well. So everybody do make sure you go over there and check him out. Much appreciated. Thank you, everybody, for all your support, whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching on Gutters Pub, Old Man Builds. Let's see, this is going out on LW, and Window Bros, I think, has this streaming out on their page as well. So no matter where you're listening from, we really appreciate each and every one of you spending your Friday night here with us.
I got a question for you. Did you ever think like spooky house, we're meeting in the middle of nowhere, driving out somewhere? Did you ever thought to think, do you guys have chainsaws? Like, you know what I mean? Did that ever come in like the back of your head? Like, where are we really going here?
Are you talking about if we had chainsaws or if they?
If they did, like,
what's
going on? Are we getting butchered up here in the background?
That's exactly what it was. So I remember that night, I called my mom, and that sounds kind of sad, right? Like, oh, I had to call my mom before I went, but it was one of those situations where I said, Mom, if I disappear, I probably got murdered, and you'll probably find my, I'm awful, I said, you'll probably find me skinned, hanging from a tree or something like that, upside down. But it's there is kind of like a weird thing with that. We always try to vet as much as possible. Luckily, I'm able to pull a lot of information that a lot of folks can't. So by the time before we went there, John was already on Google Maps, trying to find this location because they sent us a picture of it, and John's like, hold on, like, you get on Google Maps, I'm going to throw out an address at you. You run it through your software and tell me who the owners are of this place.
There you go.
And and so we had a lot of that already, pretty down packed, and we were able to pretty much get a pretty good proximity and ping on there. Now, I will say that out in that area that we were in, if Leatherface were going to show up, that would probably be an area. But thank God we're not in Texas or in Tennessee.
I keep seeing like a house on Swamp People.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, with alligators and stuff in the water. And
yeah. Well. Thankfully, we're in Northeast Tennessee, so the biggest thing out here would probably be coyotes, or just a random deer that would probably come out here. So I think that we were good in that regard. We're more afraid of the human side of things than we are the random animal. Unless it's Bigfoot, then I guess we're just screwed.
Yeah.
Bigfoot with a chainsaw.
Yeah, Bigfoot now there's a story. So. Next time on the Window Bros.
Right, I can't wait to tune into that one. So you ever get any emotional or like physical sensations when you're at these things, like, cold spots or sense of dread or, anything like that? You ever, start sweating randomly or any of that kind of stuff?
That would probably be the shops in 1910. If I had to gauge anything like that, that was probably near I would probably equate to close to a panic attack on something like that. Just a really severe sense of dread and almost like I guess a very heavy feeling. The Ura Shrine, I personally did not feel anything. I did not experience anything. But the one thing that was interesting was the dragon table at the Ura Shrine. So with the dragon table, it was decided to be designed with dark energy, and that's how Rick described that. And for those listening, Rick is the Shinto caretaker over at the Ura Shrine, and it was built with magnetite. And they put things like they put pagan symbols into it. They put sacred items into it. They a satanic cult, and then also a necromancy cult came out there and put blood in it. And it's pretty intense stuff. And so whenever he said after they were done building it, they just said like the whole idea of the table just became something too dark. And it was really meant to be a grounding table to almost essentially pull up, what you're feeling. That could be dark energy. And we had 4 of our team members actually sit around the table, and what we did was a cycle of 20 minutes. So you would sit on one side of the table, which was dark energy, one side of the table that was light energy. And the reports were very interesting on that, because what we did was a psych eval during that. So I had everybody draw a clock, ask them a series of questions like, how are you feeling? What do you feel? What are you thinking? And so they went around this table, and what they and so the emotions were kind of all over the place, not crying or anything like that. But in one part of it, John was like, I feel very angry. I don't feel good, and we saw his face flushing. On the other side, we had Casey saying, I feel very mischievous. I feel like I want to get up to no good. And then one side, Christy was saying, I had a migraine, it's gone now, and I'm in a really great mood. So it was, and as they shifted, you would actually watch their moods change depending on the polarity of the table. What we also found was with the magnetite in there, depending on what position that you put the compass on, without, shifting the compass, without turning around everywhere, but just, direct lines on different spots of the table, we found that the compass would point in different directions. And one specific end would actually point directly at the Oni shrine, which was a portal outside designed to essentially keep humans from interacting with the spirit realm. So it was incredibly interesting. And so, and we went with the clocks. It was almost a synchronous experiment in a way. So what we had is on essentially the chaos side of the table, and compared to the other 3 side of the tables, every member of our group actually drew a clock, and the clocks went 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, with the last clock being something completely different. And again, they were away from each other. We kept them private. Don't write anything. So you almost had 1 through 4 with the way the clocks are written on there too. So there was the table was designed for grounding, and it was a conductor within itself. And grounding is a very powerful tool to have in your tool belt for something like meditation as well too. So it was a very meditative experience. But as far as emotions where we're running around scared and absolutely going insane, no, not really. We've had a lot of cases, where it's just really nothing. And then from there though, nothing as a group that we can ever say that's ever happened to us where we've all been, collectively scared shitless, so to speak.
Yeah, that's cool to know there. Big shout out there to NYC Smoke becoming a channel member. Much appreciated, my friend. We did have a question coming in here. I think this is over on yours. Gutters coming in here from Fishman saying, what's up with songs being played backwards and very evil words are heard? Super weird to him. One of y'all want to take that? Is that the song? I think kind of like what was it, Stairway to Heaven, where people said you could spin it backwards on the old record player and be like Satan, sweet Satan, and do all that kind of weird stuff. Do you think that's more of a mental thing, or is that actually there?
I think for that though, and I think they call that the subliminal verses. So anything that you hear backwards or anything that's kind of being inserted within there too, that would be called a subliminal verse, and it's essentially just a way to get you to inadvertently listen to something and then kind of get that message to you without directly saying it to you.
What is the word like when you look into clouds and you?
Pareidolia, yeah.
Pareidolia, yeah, exactly. Do you think that's kind of like pareidolia, or like once it's in your mind, you can't help but to hear it, or?
It could be, yeah, for sure. Now, there are bands out there and musicians out there that, will intentionally put that stuff on there if you play it backwards. I'm trying to think. I think there was like a Kanye West and Jay-Z song. If you played it backwards and it came through very clearly, it was, I'm not sure if I could say that on here, but it was pretty, what I would consider pretty blasphemous on that end. So, but yeah, it's a Kanye West and Jay-Z song that you can actually listen to backwards. I always think it's really funny. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Little Nicky, but what is it? I think it's
I think it's
funny
movie.
I think it's Chicago. Like they play Chicago backwards, and Chicago's
Right,
like,
yes.
I command you in the name of Lucifer.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was Chicago. It was like of all the bands they pick, it was Chicago.
Yeah.
Saturday in the Park or something. Was that Chicago or is that? No, that was Earth. Anyways, whatever the hell Chicago song it was. Yeah, so there you go. Big shout out there to a Fishman coming in there on Gutters Pub. Much appreciated, brother.
Yes, thank you, man.
Yeah. So okay. So here's a weird question. You ever go to any of these places like that, and then like while you're doing something, do you ever get like any kind of like distinctive smells, like a perfume or a smoke or anything like that ever just come in?
So this is a really strange one. And so we had actually gotten there before Christy and Greg, but this is at the Euroshrine. It's the only time we've ever smelled anything that was out of the ordinary, and it kind of tells you like how hungry we were and exactly what we were all craving at that time. So it was Casey, John, and I. We were actually getting set up for the interview with Rick, and so I went to the bathroom and then came back out, and I said, "Man, do you guys smell pancakes?" And so they all started cracking up, and they said, "Well, Rick just came around the corner, asked if we were lighting a candle and if it was like maple scented." And I said, no. I said, "Man, I distinctly smell like pancakes." So Rick comes around the corner and he goes, "Do you guys smell the pancakes?" And it was wild because we kept, and again, the Euroshrine is just kind of by itself. It's right across the street from an old cemetery. And so we're like, and again, like you could actually hear our stomachs growling as we're walking around with each other. And so we're like going all over the building, trying to find the source of it. Like, does somebody light a candle and not, blow it out? We go out into the woods, the bamboo thicket, and it's super strong out there. But if I don't like all the things, like, people are always like, "Oh, I smelled sulfur," and "Oh, like, I smelled decay," and "I smelled this." The Winterborough smelled pancakes out in the middle of nowhere, and it was so stupid in a way. It smelled like somebody was cooking them like right in front of us and like pouring the butter and syrup and everything on it. And so whenever the rest of the team showed up that night, we started talking about, they're cracking up at us. And like Rick was like, no, like we smelled pancakes like right in front of us. And it was such a strange time. Otherwise, as far as smells go, we tend to chalk that up where just old building smells, mildew, mold.
Right.
One thing I will say that was interesting though is at the River House. So while I was doing the Estes method with Greg, the spirit box came through with smell.
Well, real quick, explain that method again. Like some of the viewers and stuff might not have any idea what the hell you're talking about. You keep saying that. I'm a little lost myself. So
yeah. So the Estes method is essentially sensory deprivation with outside catalyst that feeds you information. So it usually involves wearing noise-canceling headphones. It's connected to a spirit box. And for those listening, a spirit box is essentially a device, a radio that quickly cycles through AM, FM through a constant scan to pick up words. It's believed that spirits can manipulate that energetic frequency and actually pull words from it to give to you in order to speak to you. So during an Estes method, you're hooked up through noise-canceling headphones to a spirit box. A lot of the times you will use a blindfold on it too, and it's all about sensory deprivation and just to put you into a meditative state, so that way you can kind of open yourself up with your own frequency and your own meditative frequency in order to allow spirits to kind of use that to manipulate that as well too. A lot of the times we don't use any form of blindfold or anything. It doesn't really make a difference to us. I don't think it will make a difference if you're doing that. What we tend to do is put somebody in a room away from everybody or away, down in the woods and let them basically scream out what they're hearing while we're talking and asking questions and trying to engage with it. But it's so during that Estes method, it came through and said smells bad, and so Greg and I are cracking up. We're like, well, what smells bad? And so whenever John and Christy went upstairs to do their couples investigation, they they ended up going up there and stating, or Christy goes, "It smells really bad up here. Did somebody fart?" And so she goes up to John and she goes, "Did you fart?" And he goes, "No, it wasn't me." He goes, "And I would usually claim it if it were me. I'm pretty sure it was a ghost." It's but we got smells bad on Greg and I, and then an actual smell with Christy. So I don't know. It could have been sulfur. But who knows? But she didn't. And we got that on camera, and it's just a really.
Now
I think
she's your skeptic, right?
Yeah, so we actually
Right.
have three skeptics on the team. We have Casey, Greg, and Christy.
So let me ask you this. So were all three of them at this last investigation that you went to?
No, Casey was not. So it was
Okay.
it was Greg and Christy for the skeptic team, and then John and I for the believer.
So what was the reaction of your skeptics on this last investigation? Like, did obviously they go into it being skeptical, being skeptics.
Yeah.
What was their reaction leaving?
Leaving, I think Christy is kind of indifferent to no matter what, so she's just kind of very neutral no matter what.
Sounds like our KJ.
Well, so she, whenever she left, she had a lot of fun. Thought it was really cool. I think the best part of her night was using dowsing rods and them actually crossing on their own whenever we found a water line. The other skeptic, Greg. That was probably the most stunned or shocked I'd ever seen him, and and I would say if anybody got probably, and I don't want to use the word scared. I don't think he was scared, but if anybody was probably, other than John maybe being touched, had anything close to like fear, I would say that was Greg. But he coming out of the Estes method, and then a lot of the intelligent responses that him and I were picking up, and then the spirit box, saying Gregory while we were up there right before I opened the attic door. He coming out of it, he just was, I said, "Are you okay?" I was like, and whenever he came out of it, it was almost like a dazed and confused look. And just, he was like, "I've never felt anything like that before. I don't think I liked this." And he goes, and he went downstairs to Chasing Ravens, and he was like, I don't really know what to think, but I think that I may believe something that actually happened tonight. That was the general consensus. I walked away, having a blast and having fun. Personally, nothing, I can't say anything other than having intelligent responses happen directly to me. But I would say Greg and John probably got the most feedback on that.
So when you smelled the maple syrup, I mean, I noticed somebody up above was like, "I just got hungry." How do you not get hungry? I went to the other night, so it's kind of a quick, funny story. I'll make a short story long real fast. So I got done, of course, Mrs. Fools the night before Thanksgiving. She's like, "Can you run by Walmart real quick and grab something?" So the night before Thanksgiving, Walmart is hell, just in case nobody else knew that. So I got done there, and it was like 9 o'clock by the time I get out of there, and I'm like, "Well, shit, I'm starving. I don't want to go home and ask her to cook." So I went, and I'm like, "Well, I'm going to stop at a Huddle House." I don't know if people know what a Huddle House is. It's kind of like it's like a Waffle House. So I went in there. I'm like, "I'm going to grab a burger." But boy, when I walked in the door and smelt that syrup and smelt like all that kind of stuff, I had to eat breakfast. So I can imagine the smell of maple syrup while you're out there in the middle of the woods doing a haunt. Question here for you from the Audio Authority in the chat. Says, "What kind of audio equipment are you using to record your EVPs with?"
Yeah, that's a great question. So we use we use a combination. So the way that usually works, we have a Sony digital recorder, and we will use that as we are recording everything else, just to see if it picks up anything on that end. We also have a digital transcript recorder, and so while we're using that the digital transcript, it can actually write out what we're saying in real time, and you can see it on the screen. And so that way, if anything pops up on that end, that we didn't say, it would be a transcript right there. And then the other way too, obviously digital recorders are typically your old-fashioned methods, and they're old-fashioned for a reason, because they are tried and true. I think that if you're going to catch anything, sometimes less is more on that end. A lot of the times, we probably have our most luck using what they call our Hollyland mics, and they're lapel mics that we wear. They're hypersensitive. So we have four sets of those, and then we have two that are noise canceling, and then we have two that pick up surrounding. So it's Hollylands. We also have a boom mic. So there's quite a few recording methods. So usually, whenever we go into editing, it's a pain, so but on that, I'm usually having to navigate, up to 6 tracks of audio just to see what comes through and what doesn't. We don't get a lot of EVPs. I think it was funny because we actually found one potential EVP at the River House, and it actually turned out John just had indigestion. Was what we were picking up for that night. And then otherwise, I think the most EVPs we've ever gotten were at Sinzabal Tunnel. I thought that was we had one where it was what was very clearly a little girl's voice come through, and that was one where Casey, who's probably the most skeptical out of everybody, he actually, whenever I sat him down, because he was like, I don't believe any of this. Like, dude, you're full of it, but I love doing it with you, but, you're full of it. And
I love that attitude, though.
Yeah.
At least they like doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's, from there, though, I let him listen to that. And so that was a combination of just the natural recording, which, and that was just raw, unfiltered audio to isolated vocals, to isolated with slowdown, and the isolated with slowdown was probably the most unsettling, and that's the only time I've ever seen him just throw the headphones off, and he went out to my kitchen and made a margarita. He was like, I did not like that. I don't want to listen to it. So I think, as far as the Windobros go, I think we all are kind of believers in EVPs now. It's very unusual. It really is. And I would encourage anybody, we have a lot of EVPs, on our pages and our socials. It's very interesting stuff. I think that we had one go viral on Reddit, which that was 50,000 listens, and then we got deleted because they claimed that we faked the EVP, even though we're usually going out there and trying to find the fakes ourselves.
So wait, you mean Reddit has standards? I mean,
it's weird with Reddit, and I think Reddit is probably the most chaotic, and I don't know if I don't know. The words that I want to use are probably not the words I should use. Let's put it that way.
Right.
But it's with Reddit, it's so crazy because where we shared it was to a group called Ghostly Encounters, and we put it in there and we said, here it is, take it what you will. And this was one where we had an EVP call us assholes, which I think I talked about on your show before. And it said these guys are such assholes, and so then immediately after that EVP it goes so fucking rude. And whenever we played,
I love that.
Yeah, we played in reverse, and then you could actually, and so kind of going back to it, whenever we played in reverse, we actually had a female voice that was really distorted. But whenever we reversed it, it said, "I'm lost now," and we threw that in there. And I mean, I can't. The amount of downvotes of just us saying that we were faking and not legitimate or real. And I said, guys, I put it in here because we laughed about it, because obviously ghosts think that the Windobros are assholes. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Big shout out here to Fishman coming again over there on Gutters Pub. It says, y'all seen the Tesla car camera ghost videos? I have not seen that, but I'm intrigued now.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Those are pretty interesting. Now, I think that we were able to do a little bit of digging on the Tesla vehicles and look at that too. So I watched one Appalachian one where a guy was driving through and all the brush and branches were hitting his windshield, and it kept showing up as human beings on the Tesla camera. And that's pretty much what it was. It was just the branches actually looking very, very humanoid. through the Tesla camera. So it was actually showing that on there too. We did have somebody offer to drive us through a graveyard with a Cybertruck, which we have yet to take them up on that, but it could be interesting. Graveyards, we've never really experienced anything in a graveyard.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Anybody out there who's not subbed up to the Winda Bros, do go over there and do that. I know Nightbot's been dropping the link over here on my channel. Anybody else channel who he's on, if you could possibly drop the link, because we do have people listening on multiple, I don't know, we're streaming out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 9 different locations right now. So yeah, there is a lot of people watching on different ones. So anybody drop their link if you're not subbed to them. Super cool content, and good friends of the show over here. So we are always glad to have them on. And we do thank everybody out there listening, no matter where you're watching from. Thank you very much. Please make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and do all that fun stuff. Anybody, LW, Old Man, Gutters, any of y'all got any questions about any of this? I feel like I've been hogging the guest.
No, I'm absolutely intrigued by it all, though.
Well, you've hung out in graveyards a lot, Gutters. So you know.
Yes, I have, but I mean, mine wasn't so much as in looking for ghosts, though. Mine was in just cleaning their graves. So there was a bit of a difference. But I did have a weird thing that happened to me while I was in the graveyard, and that's kind of something that made me a little freaked out with the whole. I have no idea whether it was a spirit or a real person. I thought it was a homeless person at first, but as time went on and I told the story, retold the story to everybody on YouTube one night, they're all like, yeah, that doesn't sound like you just explained somebody that was like in the Bible or something that wore clothes that, it was a little strange. So I definitely wonder, about ghosts, and so I'm all about going and checking them out. I'm ready.
Whenever you say what did they look like?
So just to kind of explain it, I cleaned graves, and I was cleaning a grave. I was bent over. I was kind of on my knees, and it was a flat grave, a flat stone. So I was really digging into getting everything cleaned out of all the crevices and stuff. And out of the corner of my eye, I seen somebody move by one of the standing gravestones. And so I kind of looked up and seen somebody walking towards me, but not really. It was almost like they were just looking at stones as they were walking, but they were walking my way very slowly, meandering, I'll put it that way. And then as they got a little closer, it made me really leery. They were only about 15 feet, 20 feet from me. I mean, they were very close. And I got on the phone. I had a screwdriver that I cleaned out around the grave with, and I had that screwdriver in my hand and kept it very close to me. And I called my husband and said, "Yeah, you want to come over?" So, because at that point I wasn't giving in. I still had graves to clean, but and I didn't feel. I felt a little. I felt like it was somebody homeless to begin with, but as he got closer, I noticed that he had on. It looked like wool material. And it was early spring, and it looked like it looked more like a jumpsuit than like a pair of pants and a shirt. It was all one, and it had a hood on the back of it, and then it had buttons right in the front, and it's those long wooden buttons that are like big on one end and small on the other. That's how close he was that I could see them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then because I'm trying not to stare at this person. I'm feeling a little uneasy, and when you're in a graveyard, you kind of keep to yourself. You don't want to
don't want to bother anybody.
Yeah. And so I'm just really paying attention to what he's doing, but not letting him see me paying attention. And the next thing I notice is he's got a purse that is, it's not like a fanny pack, and it was all one piece. Like
So he was European.
I don't know what he was, but he also had on sandals, and that was really trippy to me. Leather sandals. And at the time, I didn't pay any attention to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going, okay, this is what he has on for clothes. And I didn't think about any of that. What really triggered me, though, and I was so glad that my husband showed up just a few minutes later, was all of a sudden he turned around and he headed back away from me. And he went about, I don't know, 30, 40 feet. And there was a branch that was hanging over from these hedges that were on the other side of this property. And at the time I didn't realize how tall that branch was, but later I realized that branch was 6 feet tall, and he kicked it standing still. So at that point I'm like, what the hell? I mean, when I started to put all this together, it just seemed really strange to me. And he had long brown hair. It was probably about shoulder length, maybe a little longer, and a little wavy. And so then he left and he went quite a ways away from me. Like he went across it was still in the graveyard, but it was across the road. And he laid down on this really big tombstone that he could actually lay on, and he put one knee up, and he just kind of laid there. And by the time, and about then, Marvin showed up, and of course, he came and made sure I was feeling safer about being there. And he went to look for the guy, and he could never find him.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
I do love Fishman's comment here. They're coming for you, Barbara. From Night of the Living Dead. Great comment there, Fishman. Yeah, that's freaky there, Gunners. I don't know.
After that, I didn't clean no more at that graveyard. He was like, I don't think because the homeless really do hang out at that end. And so he was a little concerned about it. So he's like, I don't want you doing that anymore. So I went and found another graveyard, and I cleaned every graveyard, every stone in that graveyard. Everyone
back to the other side of the tracks. What's that, LW? Sorry.
Yes.
It's probably just some guy named Gary who's addicted to meth.
Right. Who stole somebody's wool blanket and
Right,
wore it
exactly.
for a poncho.
In some woman's purse. He's walking around with a purse and some
Right.
sandals. It was your purse, Cutters.
Right.
He's like, I never knew what happened to my purse. But, this crazy guy walking around the graveyard with a purse. Didn't put two and two together. We do have, I know they were talking about, let me see if I can figure out how to bring this up here. So here's one of those videos there of the Tesla ghost videos right there. So, I think it'll play itself magically.
Oh, I think I have seen these before.
Well, this is kind of creepy. So this is oh wow. Yeah, I have to say, this would probably creep me out if I was driving to a graveyard and this started happening around my Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Dude, it's getting closer. Oh, and there's little kids. Did you see that?
They're coming for you.
Yeah, this is. They're coming for you, Barbara. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy right there.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
I wonder what the logic in that is, or how you would scientifically explain that.
I don't know. The only thing I could think of is that there are a lot of those figures on there that would, stay in the same position even though they appear to be walking. So, like as he was driving, or as they were driving, you would essentially have like that one walking figure in that area, still at the same proximity. So I don't know. It could be the fact that he was passing tombstones, and it could be light reflections coming off of there too. So if he had his headlights on, if it was reflecting back, it could have been picking up that, hey, there's something here on the side, which would be tombstones. That would be the only explanation I could probably give to it.
But how does Tesla determine if it's a person or a thing?
I don't know. I don't know if they can determine that if there's things, but then again, I've never driven a Tesla, so.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the science in that. Do you, Nathan?
No, everybody puts off a magnetic field, but I doubt they're picking it up. It's probably crappy software. You saw the big wiggly line in front of the car, right? I mean, it's saying that, hey, we have a giant line in front of the car as well. It was like, I don't know, the length of two people. There's no reason for that either. You don't have that in front of a car. You didn't attach that to your front bumper, so.
Do they use LiDAR?
That's exactly what I was looking up, and it says no, Tesla production vehicles do not use LiDAR. Instead, they rely on a camera-based system, which Elon Musk has long advocated for. Well, he built it. And so from suppliers like Luminar, so fleet validation vehicles that gather ground truth data to help calibrate and refine the performance of its visual-only system. So apparently it relies only on vision.
Well, it says by using a complex AI-powered vision system that analyzes images from multiple cameras to create a 3D map of the car's surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Gutters, why don't you go buy one and just we'll figure it out.
I'm not getting in a Tesla.
Come on, you can trade one of your airplanes in and get probably 2 or 3 Teslas.
I'm not getting in a Tesla, thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, that's what I was. So.
You and Gary the meth head can go drive around in the graveyard and tell us what happened.
Right, exactly.
I think his name is Matthew.
Right, Matthew.
So I'll tell you what we'll do, guys. You want to go on ahead and drop the link if anybody does want to call in. They are more than welcome to. After the whole James ordeal, we currently do not have our call-in number up because we're having to redo that after all that nonsense. But I'm going to go on ahead and drop that in over on my side. Everybody's welcome. All you guys are welcome to drop that in as well. We can bring one person up at a time, but if anybody would like to call in, give their thoughts on any of this or add to the conversation in any way, you are more than welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that over here.
So I'm actually pretty proud of myself. So it says right here, Tesla cars can pick up humans because their cameras and sensors are detecting and interpreting reflections or unusual shapes. So it's usually light reflecting off, such as tombstones can appear as people due to the light reflecting off of it. This is a common glitch in the software that is designed to err on the side of caution and is often mistaken for paranormal activity.
Yeah, there you go. Makes
there
sense.
you go. Debunk. Boom.
All right. Well, I did drop the link there. I pinned it to the top of my chat over here. If y'all want to do the same, that would be cool. Anybody wants to call in, give their thoughts, anything like that, tell us a cool story, you are more than welcome to. We've got that open, and we do appreciate everybody being here once again. Please, everybody, do make sure you hit the thumbs up button. It does help. Now, you're streaming this out, too, over there on your channel, right? Right, Doug?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Now, how are you doing that? Are you doing it through StreamYard, or are you doing it?
Yeah, I did it through your StreamYard.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. So I remember you guys telling us the first time we came on we could actually utilize that. So, yeah. But, yeah, we are live on the Window Bros, so.
There we go. And y'all make sure you sub up Window Bros. I know I got Nightbot dropping their link throughout. So everybody do make sure. I think your channel's growing. It's growing. I like it.
Yeah. We're almost about to hit 400 subscribers.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've come a long way pretty fast.
Yep.
On the YouTube side, yeah.
Yeah, that's always good. It helps getting out and doing things. Like we always like to invite people over here. Come on the show, do things like that. And it goes out to a lot of different platforms. So I hope we helped out a little bit in that process.
Absolutely. No, we've been incredibly grateful for it too. So.
No, we like having you on here. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
We do appreciate it. So yeah, anybody wants to jump on, you are more than welcome to. Like I said, we can bring one person up at a time. Otherwise, we'll just sit here and BS a little bit more.
Yeah,
Lord knows we like to BS.
I'm looking forward to any call-ins tonight. I'd love to hear something weird and spooky.
A little bit of UFO theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, UFOs. Yeah.
So speaking of UFOs, Nathan, how's your anti-gravity thing working out? You getting any further with that?
Oh yeah. Basically, we compress the gas in order to create the field around it, so it actually will blur in the sunlight. So it's like a high voltage Tesla coil when you really wind them up, but it's in reverse because it's using the impulse of the center of the Tesla coil. So, but the effect is the same. So you get this nice blurry field on the outside, man, that kind of goes around. It makes you really get in there, but it has a use for it because it structures the gas all the way around in very tight spheres. So yeah, it's coming along. All the high voltage and everything works on it. All the Tesla coil stuff works on it, man. I put some real powerful stuff in this thing. So yeah, it should have some good results here real soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Kind of see it in action there. That'll be cool to see. I hope you can pull it off. What is your, like, how high off the ground do you hope you? I mean, obviously you hope you can get it damn thing to the moon, but what are you expecting?
If it'll go 1 foot off the ground, it'll go as high as I want it to.
Okay. Just if you can get it off the ground. Now, you said you did it before when you were doing it, and you could get it barely.
I could get it to jump. So just imagine this: you have 3 pounds of weight, and I can get it to jump off the ground, maybe like 4 or 5 inches, right? But in order to do that, I must have created a great impulse or a pulse underneath it in order to get it up. So I didn't have sustainability to it. Like the field would build and then it would decompress on me because it wasn't structured right. So I'd get all the energy build up and then boom, and then gone.
Right. Like a surge almost.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is it's 3 pounds at high voltage. That's not normal. That's the cool thing about it. It was like, wow, you have something. It's not everything.
Huh. Yeah, that's it. I don't quite understand the the science behind it, but I want to see you fly this thing.
Well, let's put it this way: high voltage in a lifter would do less than 1 ounce of weight. That's the comparison.
I got you. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Any other experiments you got going on? What else are you working on?
We're working on putting a RAV, resonant arc vortex. It's basically a big ball of plasma in the center of a Tesla coil. So I built a spherical Tesla coil, and we're looking to set it off on the inside of it and seeing if we can't get it to resonate with it. So if we can, it'd be pretty cool because it'd be like the image of a Dyson sphere. So we're kind of hoping on that one. I don't know that it's going to do it because it self-structures and it pulls in the frequency to the center. So I don't know if I'm going to get the effect I want until I turn it around and blast it out. So I may have to go inside there and rebuild something else that blasts out the energy instead of pulling it in. So.
No, that's cool. I like checking out all your your experiments and stuff like that. Like I said, my grandfather would have loved your channel. He probably would have been like, one of your guests on there. He loved all that kind of stuff too.
Well, we got some cool stuff, man. We actually converted, I want to say this, it went from gas to light to plasma to crystal, all in a conversion. So we're able to convert between all those mediums, one to the next, which has not been seen in science yet. So that's one of the things that we're coming out with on the channel. Between everything that we're doing in collaborations and stuff, we're going to be working in water as well in order to do the rest of it. But you can clearly see the gas molecules. The next thing you know, man, they're emitting light, and then the light turns directly into plasma, which then turns into crystal. So we have a full energy conversion. I think we're missing sound is one of the only things that we're missing. And I think we'll have it all in order to give the proper physics to how things are built.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's super cool. You know, something I was looking into recently. I never realized this, but so you know me, I like all the ancient civilizations and things like that. I never knew. You know how there's like that underwater city outside of in Japan. I forget what they call it. Yokomuto or every name like that over there. And it's. I think I got a picture of it. I think I'm pulling up. Let me see here. The one in Japan. So they found this. A lot of people try to say, "Oh, this is just natural water movement and erosion over time." And there's like, yeah, there's no way. Not buying it. Have you ever heard of the one off the coast of Cuba?
Bimini Road?
No, not Bimini Road. That's more
Caribbean?
Yeah, more that way. But the one off the coast of Cuba. So this is the pictures. I think this is generated to be more detailed. But this is the stuff they're finding, and this is off the coast of Cuba, and it would have to date back, like 6,000 to 7,000 years at least. And they're trying to say this is, natural formations as well. But I don't know if I buy that that's a natural formation.
Do you know what's actually happening here?
No.
And they don't understand this, is gravity is different throughout time. So the more gravity that you have, the more it compresses upon the water table, which is all water in rocks inside the center of the planet. So you actually get water that goes down, and then when you mess with it on the outside and change the beat frequency of the planet, the water comes up immediately, not in big waves. It comes straight out of the ground and up. So you can get 30 feet of water immediately. So if you go out and you take, say, the Great Pyramid, and you pull in energy from the atmosphere, you're compressing the actual gravity to the center core where all the water is. So if you have one of those pyramids all around the planet, in which they do, there's like 30,000 or something pyramids around the planet, and they're all working together for the same thing, then you've changed the gravity on the planet, which means that you're expanding the zone where your life is, and you're expanding your lifespan by changing the gravity on the planet, which makes sense according to the record of the kings. So, or the king's list, I should say. But it all makes sense. It's just they don't understand gravity well enough. But all this, you can go even further. Go another, 30 miles below the water table, and you'll find more of this stuff.
So do you think this is man-made or no?
Oh, it is.
Right. Okay. That's it. Okay. Sometimes you get a little smart for me.
Sorry.
I try to keep up with
exactly. I should just say it, huh? Yes, it's man-made.
I'm like, okay, can you put this in dumbass terms?
Exactly. You need it very, very simple.
Hey, we do have a good. So anyway, I thought this is very interesting. I've actually started deep diving into some of these. I want to do a whole episode on a lot of these, underwater Bimini Road, this kind of stuff. The one in Japan, the things like that. I do want to do a whole episode on that. But I came across that and found it very interesting. We do have a special guest coming up here right now. He needs no introduction, but it's always nice to give him one. Anyways, let's welcome in.
And keep having as many Duggars as possible. So it's going to be a Duggar America, everybody.
How you doing tonight, Mr. Duggar Fishing? You're muted, brother.
There you go. How about that?
Oh, we can hear you now. How you doing tonight there, Mr. Duggar? Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, dude, I'm feeling good. That's some creepy shit he was talking about, and that makes sense on the Tesla picking it up and making it a person, because that'll make you pay attention to it, because there could be a person there, you know what I mean? But that's still creepy, putting people in there picking up tombstone.
Yeah, or a zombie,
Or zombie.
Yeah.
Ooh, they did look like zombies, like they were being. And then Gutters, did you see the kids? I was like, hell yeah, I did. That's creepy. I'd have seen how fast that Tesla could run, because I'd have left that cemetery area.
It does kind of also explain too how come there were glitches in the people when they moved, And I think it's just because the computer's picking up on different tombstones, and so it glitches to, oh, that person must have moved from that spot to that spot. And so I think that's why, because if you watch the people, they would kind of glitch out or move a great distance in, a half a second. So I think that's probably why. It's because of that whole light thing.
Well, reportedly, a lot of the mounds, if you know what I'm talking when I say the mounds, they think were like actually different pyramids made of the wrong product, and it just fell all into itself and lost its uniformity. But yeah, there's just jillions of pyramids around. That's why you always see a spaceship parked on top of one of them, and maybe it was their way of guiding or re-energizing or putting us in the right orbit so we survive. I don't know. Who knows, man? But I got
one of the most fascinating things to me are those Nazca lines. Y'all, I know we touched on those in an episode. We were looking at those, but those Nazca lines are like, that to me is one of the most fascinating things.
Like that big dragonfly.
Yeah, and in the way that it just looks like, it looks like a modern day airport or a city grid with streets and then all the designs that you can only see from up in the air. That to me is like, how do you, they try to say, oh, well, they just did it, and it's like, wait a minute, they would have had to have figured that out somehow. And, those things like that are the biggest, fascinating things to me. You ever look at those, Doug?
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I was looking at the comments on there too. So, and I think that they were talking about, yeah. So as far as like cities go, and one thing I'll say about like, pyramids, would be the, I think that they found brass in some of them and copper tops for them too. So there's ideas that they could have been conducive. I think my tinfoil theory is that we've been advanced throughout the thousands and thousands of years of time that we've been through. And I think it's kind of like the Icarus effect. We fly too close to the sun and then we reset.
Right.
Eventually, I think that whenever people think about like the concept of, and I know I'm kind of rambling here, but the concept of like end times, I think that we've had advanced civilizations, and whenever we say, the world's getting ready to end, I think it's almost like the world as you know it. So I think it's just incredibly fascinating. And whenever we talk about, I think Duggars mentioned the idea of, aliens parking on top to re-energize. I don't know. It's funny that you guys brought this stuff up because I was actually watching video footage of an astronaut that actually circled the moon. I think he said 45 times. And he mentioned
allegedly,
but he had mentioned that because I said, well, do you believe in aliens? And he said, he goes, well, of course I believe in aliens. We are the aliens, which I thought was kind of a very interesting concept. And if you think about how advanced we are and how we get to a certain point only to essentially implode, and you look at all the constant wars we've had, the end of certain civilizations, the end of the Aztec civilization, the Mayan civilization. I don't think it's I think that we're not giving ourselves as a species enough credit of what we've been capable of in the past.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer we've had many resets. I think we've gone far, and I even believe that. Not believe, but I will buy into the thought process of the ancient Egyptians didn't build the pyramids, they found the pyramids. And they built onto the pyramids or used them for what they wanted to use them for. You look at the Sphinx, for example. Obviously, it was altered. That head was altered. There's no way, it's been chipped away. It's been carved to look like something different. It's got the tiny head with the huge body. It was probably a huge dog head or something like that, and it didn't fit in with what they wanted. So I think our civilizations have reset, fallen. You look at our houses now, in 1,000 years, it would just be dust on the ground.
Yeah, I think if you look at the integrity of certain things, like, we hear folks say, "Oh, they don't build it like they used to." It's
Right.
I think that same concept still rings pretty true. You still have people questioning on how the pyramids were built. Because I know in history class whenever I was coming up, they taught us that these you know men were carrying 10,000-pound stones each one at a time, on logs
That's a
and
little one.
moving it up on there. It's I'm a little bit skeptical on that. I think that we have a general concept and we tend to just run with the general concepts. I think that we've been way more advanced in the past than what we probably realize, especially, you touched on like the Romans with the pyramids and how they just kind of walked upon them. We have to give ourselves a little more credit too. I mean,
Well, I was saying the ancient Egyptians.
Oh,
I
the
don't even
ancient,
think
yeah.
I don't even think they built them. I mean,
Yeah.
when I say I don't think I could buy into that theory, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, and we look at the ancient Sumerian texts about like how this tech was given us at any point in time. I can put on my tinfoil hat with that a little bit. It's I hear about it, and it's so funny. Like in this day and age, well, I can't get internet out in this area, and there's still no plumbing in this area. But
Yeah.
you look at ancient civilizations with running plumbing and it's just to me it's fascinating. Like to me what that tells me is that we don't give ourselves enough credit for our ingenuity, and two, we probably don't know as much as what we actually think we do.
One of the biggest conspiracies I like to look at in that kind of a situation on the rise and fall of civilization stuff. Take it for instance, us coming out of the Civil War. All of a sudden, we just started having these big jumps, and in the '50s, all of a sudden, there's a spacecraft up there in Roswell, and then we take another big jump in technology. Just think about since the Roswell, when they started talking about the Roswell stuff, how fast everything went. Were they, reharnessing stuff that they in rebuilding stuff? Uh, like they just, I don't know, like gave us a shot put of technology, and here you go, here's you a little bit more. And we went from being monkeys to walking upright, and then finally they give us a laser to work with. So I don't know what all the hype about it is that there's been hundreds of civilizations before us, and that's not disputed by anybody. There's just giant populations of people just disappear all of a sudden, like the Aztecs.
Yeah,
and they were way advanced compared
Well,
to other people around them.
what you got to look at is when they started building underground cities and they go for miles underground, and then you look at the Egyptian labyrinth, you start to understand the fundamental fact. Either the ozone layer has opened up and they get heat on the earth, which you get melted rock, which it weren't supposed to be melted. And that happens in a lensing effect. Basically, when you tear apart your big screen TV and you take the lens out of it and you put it on rock, you get the same exact effect. So it's a lensing effect from the planet. But then you look at civilizations that are way high up in the mountains and you go, well, how are they doing this? Why is it channeled and go down like steps? And you realize it was farming in certain areas and zones based on the frequency and the water table going on in those zones. And it only could have happened if the water level rose to that height. And then you start to realize there's cataclysms like that all over the planet when you get ice age, and then it melts, and then you get the different amount of gravity on the planet. It changes. We're in a constant state of change. So every time we get technologically smart enough, either we evolve out of it and get off the planet, or we fall back into the system and we go back and do it again. And it's been happening a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing to look at just in the short period of time, like to Duggar's point there. You had all this history going up, through all this with no modern technology like we've seen it. And the boom that we've seen since, let's look at it really from like, television and radio, going out to the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and then in the past like 20 years, it's just blown up technology. I mean, it's almost unfathomable if you grew up in the 1920s or 30s to look at what you have now. That would be like watching a science fiction movie.
Shit, the 80s and 90s, man.
Well,
We're toting around computers in our hands. Them freaking phones. Everybody carries a computer. They know right where you are. I mean, so that's pretty crazy.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you look at the thing through the 80s, 90s, cable television. Oh, now you can get a direct TV dish and put on your house. Yeah, and it was like, it was still kind of slow, but it was progressing at a normal rate. But in the past 15, 20 years, it is just shot through the roof. Quick question here. What's up, Dice? Good to see you. It says, have I been to Peru? No, I have not. I really want to go to Machu Picchu. That is on my bucket list. I'm currently trying to put together a trip. I have a lot of people that show interest, but a lot of people are scared to Egypt. So I'm trying to put a trip to Egypt together, get some people, group of people, and go, because I do believe in safety in numbers. So I am trying to put that together first. But yes, I really want to go to Machu Picchu. But I have not been yet.
He wants as many people to go as possible because he thinks he can for sure outrun at least one of them.
Right, or trip you.
Yeah, that's all you need to do is just not be the last one.
It's the Oregon Trail all over again.
Right, exactly.
The only one that survives is him.
Yeah, we can drown gutters right off the bat, can't we, Mr. Duggar?
Yes, sir.
So, Duggar, real quick while we got you here, what the heck's up with the Aggies, man? I mean, they're still going to the playoffs, of course, but man, what an upset!
Football sucks.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, he didn't want to talk about it. See that, Gutters?
Football sucks.
That's all you got to say. You just got to ask him about the Aggies. Mm-hmm. What's up, Christy? Good to see you.
See, it works, Mr. Duggar. When you don't want to talk about it, you just pretend like you didn't hear the question.
What?
Right, exactly.
Terrible.
I don't know, man. I just know. Like you're talking about the technology. When I used to sell satellites or satellite TVs when they first came out, and I'd pull one of them things out there to a rice farm in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden get me 300-400 channels. It was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Now, was that the old big satellites where you would have to go like?
You had to follow satellites. You know what I mean? That automatically, did it. And when you go out there and they get maybe one or two with Junior and Bobby holding up the foil around the TV, channel out there, and then all of a sudden you come give them everything and give them porn codes so they could block it so the kids couldn't get on it. And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's why you giving me these." And I think.
Oh, I still remember, Duggar. You'll appreciate this. I still remember my grandparents. They were like got one of those like really early, and I can remember them going to bed early, and like me and my friends or whatever, when we're sitting there, because it only went to like one TV, of course, in the living room, and we would sit there and we would be like, okay, cool. So it would be on like F1 20, channel 20 or 18, whatever that was. I don't remember what those were, but I do remember having to sit there and you'd be like, okay, we can type in, let's make it go to F4 24, and channel 24. You just get a satellite F4, and it'd be like, you hear outside, and you're like, oh God, please don't wake up, because that was the Playboy channel, and then you could go to like G3. It would be like, okay, well this isn't good, but let's check out G318. And that was, American Triple Ecstasy or something, and then there was like Galaxy with the 2 X's was on there too, and you'd be like moving those things. We were like 12 or 10 years old, 11 years old, sitting there at 1 o'clock in the morning moving the satellite, and you'd hear like on the floor. You'd be like, oh my God, Grandma, they're coming. You'd have to like change the channel real quick. What are you doing on F4? I don't know. We were just checking out shows.
Watching Skinamax.
No, this wasn't no Skinamax. This was like, it was
before
rough.
that.
Oh, this was like hardcore. Yeah, on the original satellite dishes, it was just there. You remember that, Duggar, right? He's muted, but I'm sure he does.
The whole neighborhood knew y'all were up to no good.
Yeah, thank God they lived in the middle of nowhere at the time, hence needing a satellite dish. But yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, they had. You could watch like Behind Green Door, Debbie Does Dallas. That's
Devil and
when
Miss Jones, you know.
Devil and Miss Jones. That's when homeboy that fools copies all the time. Jeremy, he had his famous time.
Oh Lord,
Ron Jeremy.
Oh my God.
But
Oh,
literally,
Lord.
what I was saying to my point on that I was making about that is, like, they had better TV than city folk. You know, and all of a sudden, and you're reaching up into the sky with this big satellite and you're beaming down a signal when 10 years before that, it was just still black and white TV.
Well, I've always heard
there weren't no remotes. The kids were the remotes. So I mean, we've come a long way in a short span, and I think we got a care package from another planet, and they're just kind of like, well, let's try them again. How many times we've been through that same game? They come and build us up. We didn't turn out good, and they burn us down again. They hit us with another rock, like that one floating around that's supposed to move on its own.
Oh yeah, 3 IOs. What were you trying to say there, LW?
I was just saying, I've kept up with conspiracy theories for a long, long time, and I've always heard, on the old Art Bell show, even with George Norrie. And I remember watching Alex Jones, in Texas in the mid-'90s on his little access show and local radio channel shows and stuff. Always having former government employees, like everything. They had a lot of people on there who would talk about the government's always 40, 50 years ahead of what we know. So like whatever technology came out in the 2000s, they were already using themselves in, the 70s or whatever. So that's also a theory, too, I've heard a lot, which makes a lot of sense.
I could buy that.
Well, and to your point, that's why they use those, in 1969, that's why they were using those lawn chairs with the wrapping on the lunar rover, and we didn't see them until, the late 70s. We had to have those. Hey, we do have a cool ghost video in the back up here. So let's check this out real quick. See what this ghost video is. I think it'll magically appear if I talk about it. There we go. Look at that. Uh-oh, I'm scared already. What in the world is that?
He's cranky.
Now, I do have a 100% logical explanation for this. Okay, I can debunk this, or not debunk it, but I can tell you exactly what that was. That is my bologna sandwich in my locker that Gypsy made for me.
Right. Right.
That is 100% my bologna sandwich that Gypsy put in my locker to find in my dreams. Right there. Just trying to come out right now, and he showed me that. I didn't even bring that video up. It just came out of nowhere. That video just floated its way in here. So, Gypsy, now I know where to look. So, thank you very much.
Right, there you go. Now you know what color the...
Right,
lockers on.
exactly. What's up, Big Dog Mall? Yeah, now I know what color my locker was. I forgot about that. You know, when I was in high school, we were so messy. Like, we would go and we would have a locker, and we'd fill it up with so much trash, we would just, like, wait, and it'd be like, oh, such and such got kicked out of school, so we would just take over their locker and leave our locker
that's
full of
just
crap.
gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a couple things with that video that I'm a little skeptical of. So the first part is with the door open and shut, you can't see anything because it's dark. So you can't really tell if somebody's open or shut it. The other thing is when the locker is rocking back and forth, there's a window right behind that exact locker. And you can tell that it's open by how far the window is up on the second window. And so somebody could have very easily pushed that locker back and forth. The two things that I can't really explain away is the one door getting ripped open and the papers flying out, and then the Pissa Mojado sign on the floor that was ripped apart. I say Pissa Mojado.
Is that the
wet
do not
floor
slip?
sign.
Is that the do not slip
Yes,
sign?
the wet floor sign. I made
Okay.
it. I made Mexican girls tell me how to say that. Years
Say
ago.
it again in Espanol, por favor.
They say it another way, but I always said Pissa Mojado because if you look at it, that's how. If you were trying to sound it out, that's how it looked. But it's pronounced differently.
You keep talking that correct in the Mexican language. You better be careful. You might find yourself
Right, they'll be hauling my ass off.
being catapulted over a wall or something anytime. So you just better be careful.
So yeah, but those are the two things that I'm kind of skeptical about: is the door slamming where you can't see it, and the locker rocking back and forth right in front of that window.
I think it was personally 100% a legitimate video, and that the ghost walked through the door, didn't see the do not or be careful sign and the wet floor sign,
And he
and
tripped.
immediately slid all the way down, hit the locker, and then trying to get up, he pulled the other one open, and then tried to kick the sign and slipped again, obliterating it.
Well, Mr. Duggar is my YouTube lawyer. He also does specialize in bird law. Mr. Duggar, should we reach out to that ghost and see if there is any kind of lawsuit they could look into? Because Doug does make a good point here, saying that, maybe they didn't have that sign written in whatever language the ghost spoke.
Well,
Ghost-anese.
his name is Doug. I'll forgive him for that kind of a question, but no, you don't fuck with ghosts, man.
Mr. Duggar is creeped out.
Right. That is a creepy video. I mean, I always do look for, how they could have done it. Obviously, fishing line, random things like that. Things can be set up, but, I mean, there was a lot going on in that.
I would say the big giveaway for me would be how clean the footage actually looked for surveillance footage, and then I personally believe that it was a staged video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely staged. And where's the creepy feeling? Where's the guy standing there that felt like he got touched when he wasn't supposed to get touched? I mean,
yeah, you need that.
Yeah, you need that rubbing in there, or else you ain't getting the feeling. Yeah,
along with the
okay,
the
but
EVP
explain the Pissa Mojado sign.
Well, that could easily be done with easily done with fishing line, and you just yank the son of a bitch. I mean,
if you can actually deconstruct it enough to where it can actually stand up like that and have something just to pull it, it reminds me of the. Yeah, it would come apart. It reminds me of I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Elmo balloon that was apparently haunting a house, and what they and so it was actually the way they filmed it. I believe that they actually had it walking up the stairs, but if you reverse the video, you can watch the foot actually with the trajectory of the foot. If you reverse it, it actually looks like somebody is actually pulling it down by the foot. So the foot's not actually moving up and down the stairs. I can tell you, green screen is an amazing thing. And then there's all kinds of magic erasers with film editing these days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and now what's really scary is with, so in the past we've been able to break down, just like you're doing, break down videos and look at things like that. as this AI thing keeps going further, nobody's going to know. I mean, we already didn't know what to believe with, black and white, videotapes from surveillance videos. AI is going to completely destroy any credibility or you'll never know anymore. In 5 years.
They're really going to go to the moon now.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're going to have a dance party up there. It's going to be the new Ibiza, but we're not invited.
That's
I
right.
think James.
They're going to be there in the, what is the Sea of Tranquility, the new Ibiza beach party. And, none of us are ever going to get to go, but they're going to be partying down there. So
James
I think James is the last of the trolls.
James, I guess he put a video out earlier, I guess, apologizing. He's still getting I don't want to say the word, but threats, life threats, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
I think he put a video out earlier saying he was out, but I think he'll come back.
Man,
I'm hoping he does the same thing again.
He was doing it again. He put out a fake little rod, and then he brought out a shiny one again, and I'm dying. I want to see him on the moon with it next.
The people so worried about him being dead are the ones giving him death threats. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I know.
They make a lot of sense.
The irony. Oh, the irony.
No politics. No politics.
Let's see him riding it like Harry Potter. You know what I mean?
Right, that would be cool. Doing that thing, like you see the videos of the people doing the riding the the stick horse. He should do one of those where he's riding it around.
I'm the expert at those kind of riding brooms and shit. I'll ride the.
Yeah, Gutter's typical woman. She wrecked her broomstick 5 or 6 times before she even got her license. So,
well, it takes a little getting used to.
You weren't supposed to ride it in that way. That's not how witches ride it.
Oh, right. And here we go, folks. We always end up in the gutters. Thanks a lot to Gutters Pub, but we do love her over here.
You started it.
We do love her over here. I was just talking about riding horses, and Jesus Christ, look where we've gone with this.
Are you kidding me? We're taking an RV to the moon.
Right, exactly. Just like Lone Star.
That's right.
Well, folks, Mr. Duggar, you got any last words for us there before we wrap this thing up? We do thank you for coming on. You got any last words for us?
I do have a new hot rod computer, and I'm glad that it works. I got to come up here and talk to y'all fellers and lady there's or kind of a lady Gutters.
Kind of? What the fuck, dude?
How dare you call LW a lady?
How dare you?
No, LW is cool.
I resemble that remark.
I don't fuck with LW, man. He's had it hard enough rooting for Alabama. But anyway, I love you guys. Y'all take care of your little bitty selves and on to the future, brother.
Good night, Mr. Duggar.
Love you too, Bubs. Everybody do make sure you go over there and check out Mr. Duggar Fishing. If a mod or anything like that could drop that in the chat, that would be awesome. Pretty easy to find, though. It is fishing, though, 2 E's, not an I. So Mr. Duggar Fishing, go over there and check him out. He does some cool lives late at night sometimes. Go over there and check him out. Mr. Duggar, love you, Bubs. Thanks for coming out.
Doodly-doo.
All right, there we go. Mr. Duggar Fishing checking in with us. Love that guy. So, Windabros, what do you got going on this week other than, I guess, you're editing that video? Go on ahead and tell us about it, whatever you want to plug.
That is the extent of it right now. We don't have anything crazy coming up, but that's usually how it goes for us. We usually get a lot of last-minute cases or people wanting us to come and or cross-examine or look at things. Right now, we're just in the editing process, which that's on me. I've taken kind of a week off from the social media side of things, and then I'll be kicking it back in gear probably this week. So I would say be looking out for our River House episode, which will be out within probably about 2 weeks, if I had to say, give or take. I do every bit of the editing and all the audio for that. And then from there, we have a couple of authors that I'll actually be releasing those episodes probably within that same time frame. and that will be them discussing. One was a former paranormal investigator, while the other one actually told me about a story where she was being haunted by her deceased grandmother, whom she had never met. And I would say that was a story that gave me some goosebumps. I'm not going to lie about that. And another one about shadow people, which, again, I had a little bit of a run-in potentially if I wasn't going crazy that night this past Saturday. So
those things creep me out. Those shadow people.
It's weird, and we fall into like the whole tinfoil hat going on, but it's almost like an interdimensional lapse kind of scenario. I think frequencies are a crazy thing. Energy is a crazy thing. So I don't know if what I'm seeing are ghost or if I'm smelling burned toast, that's a problem. But it's very interesting.
I like it. All right, guys. So, listen, we got to hang tight for one more second. So we are ending this show here in just a moment, but we do have one more guest coming up to tell us all about something. I Lord only knows, but I'm gonna bring our good friend Gypsy up for one moment before we wrap this up. Gypsy, we've only got a second left. I wish you'd have called in earlier. What do you got for us tonight, there, darling?
I hope you realize that the only reason why you have not found that sandwich is because you have not been going to bed hungry. So smoke a doobie or two, go to bed hungry, and go look in the right damn locker, because I've already put it in there 3 times.
Oh my God, I'm gonna really have to take your advice on this. Doctor's orders, right? I'm gonna be like, Dr. Gypsy said this is what I needed to do.
Anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know I was here, I was watching, and I was watching the lockers, and my opinion is that was what they call a poltergeist, a noisy ghost. I know some of you guys don't want to believe, but whatever, to each his own opinion. Anyways, hey, could you plug my channel? I'm up to 55 subscribers. Crafting and conjuring here, people. Come and see my videos, please.
Woohoo!
Well, why don't you plug your channel? I'm going to give you 1 minute. I want you to tell everybody why they should go and sub up to you, because I have, obviously. I've watched every one of your videos.
But I'm just talking to the new people.
Right, so go on ahead. You got 1 minute. Plug your videos.
Okay, well, we are a variety show, a bunch of local artists and crafters. We put a combination of crafting videos, traveling videos. There's going to be Sasquatch hunting videos. It's just been really bad weather over here on the coast of gutters snow. Conjuring videos where I do a lot of pendulum readings. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming up as soon as I get done with the flu. I've still got that runny nose thing, so it's kind of hard to do a recording when you got to stop every 2 minutes and blow your nose. So be patient. We're working on it, but it's a variety show. We try to avoid the politics, but when I talk about the government, I talk about all of them. I don't delineate between none of them. They're all in one lump sum when I talk about the government. But yeah, come and check us out. Like I said, it's a variety show. Share and just stay tuned.
All right, so tell everybody
as we keep going.
All right, tell everybody what you're at. I see Big Dog Mall's dropping your link there, or dropping links there. Big Dog Mall, if you would drop Gypsy's as well. But there you go. Start over.
Conjuring.
Start over.
Crafting - conjuring.
Okay, very easy to find. Crafting - conjuring. Yes, I'm really glad you kept it simple. So yeah, Gypsy, I know where to find that sandwich at. So thanks for coming up. You need to come up earlier next time, but we do have to wrap this up. But Gypsy there, good friend of the show. We really love her to death.
I didn't want to step on Duggar's toes.
Well, he might have liked it.
So true. I'll remember that next time. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, Gypsy, thanks a lot for coming up.
Bye-bye, Gypsy.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.
And don't forget the rest of the prescription that she told you. Roll it tight.
I will not.
Smoke it well.
I will not.
Yeah, my short-term memory is bad, but I wrote it down. All right, so Window Bros, we're all looking forward to your new thing coming out. Tell everybody once again exactly where they can find you at.
Yeah, so you can find us at the Window Bros on all social media. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. We're the Window Bros. That's it, and you can find us pretty easily on there. And we have a link tree, and you can actually find all of our socials fairly easily there.
Right, and it is the Window, like WENDIBROS. So the Wendy Bros, WENDIBROS. Y'all sub them up. I'd love to see y'all get to 500 subs. Get to monetize your YouTube channel. That would be super cool because I love you guys' content, and it's been a real pleasure getting to know you. So
likewise, and like we always say, if you got a boo, you better call a bro.
There you go. I like it. Got a boo? Better call a bro. I'm gonna have to get me one of those T-shirts. Have you made them yet?
Yeah, we do have a few T-shirts. So
all right. Well, maybe I'll trade you. Maybe I'll trade you a Traveling Fools one for one of those.
Sounds good.
When I come up there and go on a hunt with you. LW, you got any last words for us there, brother?
No, it's fun. Glad everybody showed up in the chat. Thanks for everybody on panel for having a good time, and appreciate the 2 callers. It was fun.
There we go. All right, LW. Always a pleasure having you up here with us. The Mouth of Houston right there coming at us. Old Man Builds. Plug it away, baby.
Well, I just want to let everybody know, man, that we're doing that Friday sale for my Tesla coils and stuff like that. So if you go into SD for Old Man Builds, you can find my Tesla coils. If you go on Shopify, you can find them as well. And we have the Black Friday sale, man. I'm just trying to get them out there so people can enjoy them. Really awesome craftsmanship, man. You'll enjoy them completely. They come ready to go, power source and everything, and you can go out there and start freaking people out. They're not exactly the small little Tesla coils you get for most people. So 5-foot field would be about average for this thing if you wanted to go out there and do it. And yeah, it would mess with all the equipment that you have, and I'd love to see what happens to these apps like the one that you use over there. You know what I mean, for the ghosts and stuff, because it would probably tell you some freaky stuff because it has no ability to not try to resonate with everything in the room. So if it's within the vicinity, it's going to mess with it. So anyway, that is my plug. It's just Black Friday sales.
I really want to get one of those from you. So I am going to be a purchaser of one of these. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow. But yeah, we kind of, not we, my wife and the credit card in her pocket went a little insane on Black Friday. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I am definitely getting one of those from you because I really want one. So yeah, big shout out Old Man Builds. What's your YouTube? You just go to Old Man Builds, right? People find you there.
Everything's Old Man Builds. If you put in Old Man Builds, it's me. 99% it's me, and it's always purple in the background and a little looking flying saucer on the front.
All right, well, check him out. Gunner's Pub. Last words for us.
I just want to clarify, first of all, that he said Tesla coils. Tesla coils. Not testicles.
Oh,
just so everybody knows, okay? That's what his. I just want to make sure we get the right plug out there for Nathan. He needs the right plug put out there. So
I might need those resonated as well.
Gutter's always talking about.
I'm sorry they asked.
Testicles and the right plugs. He's always talking about it.
Right, exactly. All right. So yes, and I will be doing Tuesdays and. Maybe Friday mornings, just depends on if I have the grandson or have other things going on. And then, of course, always Friday nights here.
All right, I love it. Easy to find there as well. Just type in Gutter's Pub. Type that in, you will find it. Pretty easy. Over here, Traveling Fools, I think it's pretty much the same kind of thing. You type in Traveling Fools, you're probably going to find us, but it is on YouTube at Traveling Fools 2020. On X, Travel and Fish is the app. But if you just type in Traveling Fools and you see this handsome mofo sitting there, you will know it is me. There is a band or something, I don't even think they're still together, named Traveling Fools. That's not us. Other than that, I might go live again here in a minute and test something, maybe try to beat Mike Tyson. That might happen. I might go live and play Mike Tyson's Punch Out from the beginning to end and test it and see if I can actually do it. So there is that. But we do appreciate everybody who has been here watching, doing all that kind of stuff. We had people watching on X. We had people watching on Old Man Bill's. We had people watching on Gutter's Pub. We had people watching on LW's. We had people watching on the Window Bros. People watching here at Traveling Fools and on X as well. So yeah, together, everybody, we love spending our Friday nights with all of you guys. If you would like to be a guest on the show or anything like that, please contact us. Go to our website, www.abbinormal.com, ABBINORMAL.com, www.abbinormal.com. So check us out there. Please say bye to us in the chat. We're going to get out of here. Friday or Sunday night, we will be doing trivia, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Come over here and check it out at Traveling Fools. We appreciate everybody being here. Thanks so much. Hope all of you had a happy Thanksgiving. God bless you all. So that being said, say goodbye in the chat. We will see you guys soon. Be safe out there.